Okay, if you haven't followed my Facebook or Instagram, which a lot of you don't, then you don't already know about this. Sure, it's not an AMC or an LS, but I was going to make a video about everything wrong with my cheap skidster. Now, I did get this super cheap, but there's, reasons I got it super cheap. And we'll kind of go from, I think, petty stuff to major stuff. So one of the first things, well, actually, let me start by, it's a 2002 or 4, I think it's a 2, Gehl SL7800. It's got the Yamar 110 horsepower diesel, and I only know that because it says it on the tag of the motor. But we'll start with this tire here. You're probably not going to notice right off camera that there's a problem with it, but it's about 2 inches, 2.5 inches taller than that tire. And that tire has the same exact size as this tire, and this tire has the right air pressure, so does that tire. So I don't know, totally different brand, and I'm guessing that's probably why it is the way it is. So I got to get a tire for it. Lucky for me, one tire is brand new and the other 2 tires are in decent shape. And if you've already noticed, which I'm sure you have, it's missing a lug nut on this wheel, and it's got a broken lug nut on one of these wheels. A bonus, it actually came with a brand new bucket and a brand new set of forks, and they are brand new. I've actually been using this bucket a little bit. I've been using this machine, but not much. And you'll figure that out here as we go. So this was bought at an auction from the previous owner, and then I bought it from him. And he mostly sold it because he's not a mechanic and doesn't want to work on it, and he was building his house, and he used it for what he needed it for and wanted to get rid of it. So being an auction machine, they painted it very hastily, and they painted over all the grease zerks, and there's probably no grease in any of them, and if they do have grease, they're over greased. This hydraulic ram here has had water or something. It's not rough at all, but it's had something in it. I'm going to assume water. That one there, nice and clean. That one there, not so much. It's got cracks here and here. I don't even know how you crack that because it actually curls over, and pretty thick piece of metal. It was missing the bolts for the cab, so the cab was kind of not really free floating, but it really wasn't bolted down. It's got overspray everywhere. The very wonky controls that I'm not very used to are very loose. Maybe they're supposed to be that loose, I don't know, but it drives kind of wonky because of that. It's got some rust that they painted over. Oh, which this actually came from Florida. Yep, you can see the rust. Lucky for us, we're in Montana, there's not really a rust problem. Oh, let's see, where can we go next? The thingy that takes the locks out for the bucket and forks actually works really good. It's actually one of the smoothest ones I've messed with. Bobcats usually have 2 of them, and usually one works good and the other one doesn't, or whatever, or they both suck, and you gotta kick them and jump on them to get them locked. Not this one. That actually works really decently for not even being oiled. Well, we'll go in the cabin a little bit. Again, they hastily painted this to make it look nice. This wheel here has actually got a broken wheel stud, and you can see where they painted the wheel by just taping over the tire. I did that. This is actually really nice, but I actually did that. That was my fault. But you can tell it's been painted a couple times, a couple different layers here. And we'll get to this arm. This arm's got some problems. Stuff I can probably fix, but it's going to take some work. I changed oil in it the other day, and I can tell you that the oil has not been changed in a very long time. That rubber thing right there that looks like a chunk of wood or dirt, that's actually the drain hose that's been torn off, and they've been just draining the oil down in the belly whenever they did change oil. The oil filter had 1,700 hours on it. The machine's got 2,300 hours on it. So, and I guarantee you it has not been changed in a long time. So I did change the oil. I'm going to have to change the hydraulic fluid because there is some moisture in that tank. And I don't like that. Look at that. Look at that overspray. It's got a leaky hydraulic hose right there. It's actually leaking right in here. I might be able to tighten it. I don't know. Haven't gotten that far. The horn does not work. Excuse my mess. The handle to open the little hood thing just broke off. This hood thing is been beat and bent and welded and bent and welded some more. I'm going to have to straighten it out and weld it some more again. I don't know how they break out tail lights and do all that stuff, but those are broke out and the wiring harness is missing for them. This arm right here has got some problems. I think it's been welded like, I don't know, 5 times, and it's cracked, and it's cracked again, and it's got some more cracks on it. They used a hammer to whatever. And this head, which I'll try to get a better angle, has been welded back on. This seal leaks. That seal's leaking a little bit. You know, fun. The little hood that goes on here, it was all bent up. I've actually been working on the hinge. There's the hood. It's got some rust, and the reason it's all bent up, this is a big shocker, so be prepared, is that this cab is a hydraulic lift cab. Here's a little, I doubt you can see through there, but there's a little jack in there, and that lifts the cab up. Well, this hood lifts the opposite way. So what they do is they open this hood, and then they start lifting the cab, and then the back window that is not existing anymore, but all the broken glass is inside, gets in a fist fight with the hood, and both of them lose because the hood's bent, the glass is broke out, and the guy that's operating the jack does not care. So I'm not a complete diesel expert, okay? I've worked on diesels. I understand how to work on them. But when we got this guy, the original owner said, it runs really good. If you jump it, it'll sometimes start, but you have to give it a little just sniff of ether and it'll fire right up. Which he's right. You just give it just a whisper of ether, she'll fire up and she'll run. And she runs good. She does smoke. That kind of smoke. And I knew that we were having a fuel problem. So let me bring you over here. So it was hooked up to the mechanical hand primer pump thing there, lift pump, whatever you want to call it, and it sort of worked, but I'm sure it was sucking air through there. We got a facet diesel pump, and it's just real diesel-y looking because, trust me, we've worked on this thing for a long time. We replaced all the lines, even though they don't look replaced. And if we just put a clear filter into return, that's the return line out of the injectors, injector pump, blah blah blah, whatever. Replace the fuel pump. There's two bleeders on top of that fuel pump. You're in and you're out. You bleed them in a sequence. When you bleed the in from this lift pump, you'll get air, but it'll clean up and you'll quit getting air. However, when you bleed the out, no matter how many times you bleed it, when you take that bleed screw out, there's air. And then when it's running, you can see a little bit of air blowing into that filter. So it still won't start after replacing all that and spending way too much time messing with that. But if you look, and I don't know if we'll be able to tell or not, there's these little plastic lines between the injectors. If you look real hard, you can see there's actually some red dyed diesel kind of in that one. There's nothing in that one, and there's nothing in that one to about right there. And then well, that's all of them. What is happening is, I'm sure it's that injector is totally bad. It is just leaking fuel out. It is either getting compression inside of it because it's not shutting, whatever, diesel's dripping out of that thing, getting past the rings, getting into the oil, because that oil I drained out stunk like diesel. And that's why it smokes, because it burns your eyes. It is horrible. Runs good, but it burns your eyes. And when it's running, you can actually see air bubbles traveling up in these clear lines. So I got a set of injectors coming for it. Hopefully that fixes it. If not, I'm actually still not that deep into this thing. If I had to pull the motor, say, because it had bad compression, but I really don't think it's got bad compression, because it actually does run pretty good. So that's the engine problem. Other than that, I've run it 2 or 3 hours. Never gets hot. Runs really good. As long as you don't shut it off. It smokes and it burns your eyes. And I made a horrible mistake of bringing it into the shop here to do some dirt work. And me and my nephew almost died over it. I mean, it started choking us out. And if you pull the oil cap off and all that good fun stuff, there's actually no blow by, so that's the other reason I'm at least fairly confident enough to believe that it's just injector problems. Moving on to this ram, that kind of crack right there and that thing, if you can kind of see what I'm getting at, that is not supposed to be there. That is actually a severe crack. Actually, here, let me get something. If I can find it. Here we go. I actually found this inside the loader. This will make life easier. That crack right there, that's not supposed to be there. So that's broke loose. If you look real closely right now in here, that's all cracked. That's got to get welded back up. And you see all that jubbly stuff that looks like grease? That's not grease. That's actually where they've welded that thing back on like 4 times. I don't know if it's easier to get a new ram for this. I haven't looked. I really don't care right now. I just want to get it to run. That arm is pretty beat up. That big old booger right there, that's welded. That's because it's cracked and they welded it there. And it's cracking some more. So they were probably trying to way overlift with this thing. Getting onto this side of the machine, really not much here. The fuel gauge doesn't work. The fuel sending unit is pretty much right underneath that filter, which I think that's the hydraulic filter. I don't know, haven't gotten that far. But let me jump in the cab real quick and we'll look at everything wrong inside there. Okay, we'll start with the floor here. There's the battery And this cover right here, missing. Doesn't have it. So it doesn't have that cover. It's missing the cigarette lighter because, you know, I smoke cigarettes. It's got an option for a fan, no fan. It's got an option for whatever that means. That actually might be the disconnect thing. It's got a parking button. I don't know if it works. It comes on. It's got a high and low speed. It's a 2-speed, and that actually does work in this. I believe that's the horn button, but the horn doesn't work. I don't know what that icon is. It's supposed to do something, and I don't know what that button's for. Those there are the fuses. That one there is kind of like stuck. Key, the headlights, which we'll get to in a minute. All of these lights I do believe work in the little error display thing. Temperature gauge works. Fuel gauge does not work. That's how many millions of hours are on it. All these goofy wires that are just kind of chilling here. That's for the headlights that don't work. And there's the headlight switch. The hand throttle broken. You have to use the foot throttle, which is that thing right there, which is fine, but yeah, totally broken. That goofy looking thing over there, that's for hydraulic auxiliary. And it doesn't have a fan, but it does have the things in it, so I don't know if you can add a fan or not to this. Might be interesting. I might actually be able to put a heater in here if I ever get that far and keep it that long. Broken glass everywhere. The interior is kind of rotting away. There's my can of ether, and don't worry, it's got lubricant in it. This silly little rod, which I don't really know what it's for. It's something about more hydraulic pressure. Anyways, it's seized. It doesn't work. On this side, there's a glove and more broken glass. And you can see how nasty all this old grease is. So, I mean, it's got to get all scraped out, and I got to re-grease everything. But the biggest thing is get it to start on its own. So we can do that. But your glow plugs won't stay on anyways. There it is. Bottom one. Or, I'm sorry, it doesn't have glow plugs. It's got a air heater. Apparently it has to be a certain temperature, and it is currently very hot outside. Now, I know it sounds like it's not turning over very fast. It's not. I mean, I usually keep the battery charger on here, and it's the first time I've messed with this in about a week. So, probably need to put the battery charger. It turns over a lot faster with a good fresh battery in it, but that is what it is. But the injector should be here tomorrow or the next day, so that's good because I've already got a job lined up for this. I bought this for my property, and I bought it to rent out because I found myself not being able to find one to rent or nearby, and a lot of people over here are always looking for one to rent, so it'll pay for itself hopefully. But I got a lot of maintenance to do. But again, I'm procrastinating on that because it's got to start first on its own without me having to use ether, because I can't rent this out to somebody if they got to spray ether, because I just don't trust them to spray a sniff of ether in it and not blow up the motor. Again, I know ether is not good for any diesels, but this doesn't actually have glow plugs in it, and you know, I don't know. It's just not good for them. They're super high compression motors. I guess they can bend rods and do other weird stuff, but so anyways, that's everything wrong with my very cheap. Oh, the backup thing doesn't work either. Darn it. And this was the new tire, by the way. This one, fair enough. So you might be asking, well, how much did I pay for this hunk of North Dakota built? I don't know who built Gehl. We'll just say Midwest. Well, I didn't pay a lot. Let's just say your average Bobcat from 1980 that's in pretty bad shape, that is a small one like a 775 or something that's quite a bit smaller than this machine, they want $21,000 to $25,000 for still. I got this machine for $13,000. And it came with 2 diesel cans, the owner's and service and repair manual. So, you know, yeah, it's a lot of money for a rig that doesn't just turnkey start, but it's about $10,000 left for a piece of junk. And no offense, I mean, those Bobcats probably run really good, but you're asking that much money for them. I mean, at least do a ghetto paint job like these guys did. I mean, yeah, this paint job sucks, but it makes you feel like you're doing something with your $13,000. So, anyways, I don't know if I'll make the video on doing the injectors or not. I'm pretty busy trying to get the parts for this Javelin so we can get it going. But the injectors really aren't that bad. I pulled the first and this last injector out before I really realized it was the injectors going bad. But they're not real hard. They're not like pressed in or anything. They actually just kind of wiggle out. They got a crush copper washer thing that they sit down on and seal. So, but pretty simple. So, anyways, I thought I'd just make a video. It's been a while since I've made one. Sorry to everybody who is wanting videos. But it's been really busy. We got our sewer done, water done. I'm working on the shop, trying to get a concrete floor going. And I've been doing a lot of dirt work, trying to get this place cleaned up. I don't really know that I have any videos of what this property really was like, but that's about 2 feet of just fill right here. There used to be a giant wood pile all along here. Well, that's all over there now and over there. There's the burnt AMX and another gremlin. And this used to be all dirt and gravel. Well, I've been slowly scooping all this crap out and spreading it around, so I got a lot more work to do. But it's getting there, so. Alright, well, I'll let everybody go that's watching. Thank you for watching. Better make sure there's nothing leaking out of this Jeep, which I'm pretty sure that's just an oil stain from that loader. But anyways, we will see you in the next video.